just my question to you, Michael, is what keeps you patient? I know you talk about trusting in your process, trusting in God, trusting in risk, your risk plan, but what really like keeps you patient, when you tilt, stuff like that.
When you say what keeps me patient, what observations are you using to define my patience? Where are
Mm,
you seeing patience?
I, I guess when I say that, I mean more like I guess I just want it now, and like uh just your
So
ability to just
you're asking for me to kind of like give you hints on how you can obtain more patience, not so much that you observe me being
yeah,
patient. Okay,
I
I guess
yeah,
I read into your question a little too much. Well, first of all, you're going to either be taught patience without pain, which is rarely done, or patience is going to teach you through pain. You're going to hurt yourself by not waiting for the model to present the setup. You're going to try to forecast the setup before it's there because you're afraid you're going to miss the move. Is that following the model? No. Through pain, doing those things incorrectly will teach you, hopefully, if you stay solvent long enough or have an income stream that can constantly replenish what you lose, but you're doing it incorrectly by doing that. And that in itself will teach you patience if you are keyed up on learning to do it correctly and learn from your mistakes. A lot of people don't want to learn from their mistakes.
yeah,
They have this self destructive mechanism deep ingrained in them that somehow a lot of traders go through this. They go through this pain of they think they're trying, they think that they're doing their best, but they're really not. They're just throwing the dice to see what will happen. It's like playing the lottery. It's like going to a casino and throwing down some money on a table and say, see what happens. And if it
right,
wins, you get an emotional, euphoric feeling like, wow, this is fun. I didn't expect it to be this fun. And now it is. I want to do more of it. And you pursue it, pursue it, pursue it, and chase after it. But what happens is we end up getting into this stuff and we don't really pursue a regimen of rule based ideas and protocols and processes that we have to adhere to. And that takes patience. By definition, as I mentioned in the live stream today, we as humans are not good rule followers. We generally don't do it. And when pain comes into the equation, that many times is the multiplier to draw attention to our problems. And many people, and I was like this in the beginning, I looked for excuses as to why it wasn't my fault. It was somebody else's problem that I adopted it. I looked at someone else as being the contributing factor as to why I was failing. And I wasn't looking internally. And I wasn't saying, I'm the one that's responsible for this. The people around me didn't put me in those trades. They didn't tell me to trade that many contracts of soybeans and getting slapped upside the head. They didn't tell me to do this. It was me. But because it's uncomfortable and losing money and doing it incorrectly, you have to take responsibility and say, okay, I'm accountable to myself. I have to be accountable to myself. And if I'm doing things incorrectly, if I'm rushing to get somewhere profitably, rarely is that actually a good thing. It doesn't really pan out. Moving slowly towards profitable actions is the right way. Moving quickly to try to preserve your capital is the right way. But we switch it up in the beginning. We'll hold on to a losing trade forever until we can't hold any more and we margin out of it. But a winning trade, you get a little bit of profit and you're thinking, wow, this feels different to me. Like this is, I don't want this to go away. What happens if it turns into a losing trade and you've lost the whole plot? You don't even want to hold on to the trade anymore. So by tape reading and demo trading and working towards that, and then eventually using what you've gained in understanding by doing those things, applying it to live trading, it doesn't feel alien to you when you're experiencing a profitable run. And when you see it turning against you, you know you've done this many times before. This looks like it's going to turn on me. And it makes it perfectly clear to me that I should not hold this trade anymore. Or at least let me take half of it off or 80% of the trade off. Because I might be wrong in my infancy. And all these things help towards building patience. But patience is not an overnight thing where it's just, I got it now. It's a work in development. And you will constantly work towards that in the first 5 or 6 years of this.
right. So if you had your 22-year-old self next to you right now, what would you tell him? Like, when it comes to trading and just being a part of this business long term.
I would tell him to go watch If I Could Turn Back Time in when I was 20. That's what I'd tell him. Hey!
Yeah, that, that that's the that's the best answer. That's the right to the point answer. But to honor your question, I would say stop trying to make big wins for every trade and focus on the effects of compound interest, because that wasn't what I did in the beginning. I was trying to get big wins individually on individual trades and thought that and
Right.
equated that as to this is success. I'm making $5,000 on that one trade versus, okay, what happens if I just relaxed and didn't scale up so much in leverage and I just did one contract? And sure, I may have only made $650, $700, but the toll that you place on yourself while doing this, the chemical imbalances that you thrust through our own bodies by doing it, it's stress that it builds over time, and you'll wear yourself down, and the quality of life is diminished because of that. So you can make lots of money trading, and there's lots of people out there doing that. But if you got them in a room by themselves, and I could guarantee you, I could get most of these people online that pretend to be very, very profitable. If I had them in a room by myself with them, I could have them crying because I
Yeah.
know what buttons to push and say, what about this? And what about that? What about this? What about that? And they would be honest. They would start crying. They'd be like, yeah, man, you have no idea. Like, my marriage is in shambles. All this stuff's going on. But I make lots of money. I make lots of money. My kids don't know who the hell I am, but I make lots of money. Yeah, it's we have to take a step back and say, okay, people may be successful. They may be making money, but what is that going to do for you when you start making it? And what is the price that you're going to have to put yourself through to get to that? And by
Right.
deferring these big, heavy-handed windfall victories per trade, I would have told myself, if I can go back in time, I would say, don't try so hard and let the process be a lot more enjoyable. Because I stressed myself out trying to do too much in the beginning, because I felt like that's what I had to do. And over time, you'll see that a little bit of effort compounded over time builds huge wealth, and you don't have to feel all those stresses and those contortions emotionally, psychologically, that everyone else puts themselves through.
Thank you,
Can
sir.